I miss the old iDubbbz, straight from the go iDubbbz. He should fucking film his wife's OnlyFans. That'd be so iDubbbz. Look at me, I'm wearing a fucking polo. I'm wearing a shirt with a collar on it, as men do. But point is, I didn't even own such a thing last time a Content Cop came out. The impact of Content Cop on modern culture cannot be understated enough. If you weren't there when it happened, I'm sorry, I'm not going to try to explain it to you. You're going to have to do your own research on that. Okay, so about a year ago, iDubbbz puts out a video apologizing and denouncing all of his Content Cops. Fast forward to this day, he puts out another Content Cop. How can this be? I'm going to explain, I think, what is going on in iDubbbz's head. Terrible place to be, I'm sure. That is my only interest in this video. That is not to say that iDubbbz and Hassan Piker and Hassan's crew of 7 dwarves are necessarily correct, nor is it to say that Ethan Klein of H3H3 is correct in this scenario. I am not going to give an opinion on who I think is in the right here. Reason being that I do not give a fuck. And I feel like that sentiment is reflected in the common man. Nobody in the top comments on the H3 Content Cop that dropped 6 days ago is really making a strong statement siding for iDubbbz or for Ethan Klein. Pretty much, it's mostly people addressing how strange it is and how nostalgic it is to be getting one of these. A lot of people talking about how they don't really have time for this shit. There's a general sense of having moved past this. Now, that's interesting to me because you could not name a more beloved series on YouTube than Content Cop. And usually, when you throw something nostalgic that people used to love in their face, they're pretty ready and willing to gobble it up. So why not this time? My theory is because this Content Cop just fucking sucks. It really does. The like to dislike ratio, of course, would tend to support that claim. Now, I have seen some arguments from a one Hassan Piker that actually the algorithm on the Chrome extension of determining what like to dislike ratios are is not actually accurate.
The like dislike ratio ain't good. Yeah, the dislike ratio counter is not correct. It can only make a assumption on what it is. The extension is not accurate. But I mean, I think a lot of people just want to feel like it's valid to convince themselves that this is like a dud or something, and that there isn't a lot of people that are not on Ethan's side on this.
I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. All I know is I thought it was boring. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was petty. I thought it wasn't very entertaining either. That's why, to me, what's interesting about this is the state of iDubbbz and less the actual beef. I do have some criticisms about the Content Cop itself, but it's on the merit of the video itself, not to say he's wrong or he's right, given the entire beef. Now, iDubbbz has not provided much of an explanation as to why he is now making another Content Cop after explicitly denouncing the series. I think I know why he's doing what he's doing, but to get to the bottom of that, we must first take a look at the apology video he put out a year ago where he said he wouldn't do this shit again.
I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel. And I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel. So I don't want people to, you know, get it confused about, you know, where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are Content Cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and you know, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty. I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly, and it's one of the reasons why I kept making this hurtful content. I ended up pivoting it into other things because I felt bad about it, innately. But it's still something that I struggle with, and I don't want you to interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing. I'm not confident in my ability to entertain, and I think if I had to rely on my personality to entertain people, that I wouldn't have any amount of success, and that is really hard to come to terms with.
In as much words, iDubbbz feels like he needs to have a target to be entertaining. Now, I think I've made at least 1 or 2 videos over the last year and a half-ish, just kind of pointing to the fact that I find his content disappointingly terrible. I think he is not funny anymore. That's my opinion. But certainly, he was at his biggest and his funniest, in my opinion, when he had someone to clamp his teeth down on. Obviously, that's a very toxic endeavor, and it wasn't something he felt like he could keep up for a long time. Enter the Ethan Klein beef. iDubbbz goes to Hassan Piker's house and collaborates with a bunch of people who consider Ethan Klein to be an enemy, and Ethan Klein clearly considers them to be an enemy of himself. People who I would say consider Ethan Klein to be a genocide supporter, which is pretty strong sentiments.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
That just made me shrivel up. Could you not have run that? Just get her to do a couple more takes. That was so...
Wake up, Ethan.
Anything intimidating about that video, just... Come on, can you give me a little bit more, please? Wake up, a little more, please. Put your chest into it.
The dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up.
Like that, yeah. I'm sorry, we're in the weeds now, but just like the cupping your mouth to be louder, but then not saying something loud is like, all right, it doesn't matter. Damn, they really got him, boys. Oh, shit. I wasn't expecting the middle finger. Fuck! What's he gonna do? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 middle fingers? Fuck, that's so many! Yeah, point is, we kind of have this clusterfuck of an hour-long video where we have this very provocative fuck you intro. Then we have a whole bunch of yapping. He cries at one point, I think.
It's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
No, you can't do that. You can't cry in your own content, cop. That's not allowed. That's not okay.
What are we doing here?
How do we go from this to this?
It's really hard.
He also does this very strange thing where he has all the people who collaborated with him on the video say something nice about Ethan at the very end.
I just wanted to say that I respect that you are genuinely yourself on the internet.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview.
Ethan Klein, I think that when you are being goofy, when you're being silly, when you are being lighthearted and just having fun with your friends, I think that is when you're at your best.
I think Ethan Klein rocks a buzz cut pretty good, and I think
He's got a good choice of facial hair. I think it's really cool what he did 8 years ago, fighting.
Oh, great. That's great. That's great. Thank you, Noah Sampson. Anytime I see a mustache like that, I know there's an amazing opinion inbound. It's just a very weird move to do. And I want to emphasize, I think this is weird regardless of whether you consider iDubbbz to be on the correct side of this beef or Ethan to be on the correct side of this beef. I think this is just weird. It's weird to gather together all of the people who hate this guy the most, collaborate with them on making a video talking about all of the grievances and attacking his character, and then at the very end be like, say something nice. Well, he's got a good buzz cut. I think the buzz cut looks good. The reason iDubbbz feels that it's appropriate for him to be able to make this content cop, given his new sort of ideology of being a responsible creator, is that if he inserts like 30% empathy, it makes it fine and dandy by his standards. The impetus behind this whole like, oh, but like I will say some nice things about you thing is not to lessen the blow on the content cop target. It's only to make them feel even more morally superior than they did before. Receiving something like this from all the people who hate you the most after an hour of dogpiling is not going to make you feel better. So why'd you include it? Listen, all this stuff's very complicated stuff that I'm not super interested in. I am just evaluating this content cop for what it's worth. And what it's worth to me is very little, because it comes across as very disingenuous. I would rather iDubbbz have made this same content cop and just cut all of the fake empathy. Just go full ham on Ethan Klein. That would have been objectively a better content cop. And for any of you in that crowd who would get twisted up over my stance, just kind of throwing my hands back about this, I would point you to probably my favorite comment on the H3 content cop from iDubbbz. It's wild how a bunch of washed up American YouTubers made the Israel-Palestine crisis about themselves. And that pretty much feels like where we're at with this thing. It seems like a bunch of people with a bunch of feelings hurt, and that's the main motivation. And for every tactic they use to try to attack or smear each other, we just have an infinite excuse of, but Gaza. That feels disingenuous to me. But the most disappointing thing is this shit's just fucking boring to me. It's exhausting and tedious and boring, and I don't like it. The latest update I'm aware of is that Ethan Klein is convinced that iDubbbz took a picture with the crew and had a sword from Bleach with a hilt that bears a resemblance, striking resemblance to a swastika. Are we still talking about dog whistles in 2025? It feels like this all was brought on by iDubbbz feeling like the only good thing that he can do is attacking other people, and he needs to invent mental gymnastics to make himself feel like that's not an inherently toxic activity. I feel like there are ways to attack people on the internet, all in good fun at the end of the day. His approach towards doing this is, to me, bizarre. I wish this was a much more funny situation than it is. Maybe somebody will crash out and do something actually funny in response to this whole thing, but as of right now, it just feels very tedious to me. So that's pretty much it.